Every great artist has his own special way of seeing. Edgar Degas saw with his intellect fully as much as he saw with his eyes and his feelings. He liked to turn his subjects around and show them from an unusual point of view. Above all, he wanted to capture the beauty and uniqueness of a moment of movement. His mother died before he reached his teens. His father was a Paris banker who hoped his eldest son would study the law. But his father had once been an amateur organist and loved to listen to his friend, Degas, playing the guitar. And so young Edgar Hilaire Germain Degas, whose drawings had won him such good grades at the Lycée, was allowed to give up the law. He found himself a proper attic room and enrolled at l'École des Beaux-Arts. The first years of his study of art suggest the calm, classical lines of Ingres, who was the teacher of his teacher. Degas never quite forgot this earliest training. He soon went to Italy to study, and there, as he had done in the Louvre, he taught himself by making copies of works he admired. Before long, he began to discover that his favorite subjects were connected somehow with tension or with action. Returning to Paris, he met Edouard Manet, another artist of upper-class background. Manet became his friend and introduced him to other young painters at the Café Gerbois. Degas was willing enough to join the little group of rebels at the café, but he never fully accepted, as they did, the label of impressionist. Most of his impressionist friends put first the warmth of color, the excitement of capturing immediate sensations. Degas loved color, but he also wanted to work and rework, searching for the most interesting form to contain the action. His mind drew a line between emotion and design. Unlike the other Impressionist painters, he rarely painted a landscape, and never did his final work in the open air. He liked especially to study horses and the way jockeys sit in the saddle. But he went home to do his painting. In the studio, where he could work and rework, he could also arrange a more theatrical style of lighting, which boldly separated the elements in space. It is all very well, he said, to copy what you see. But how much better to draw what only the memory sees. Then you get a transformation in which imagination works hand in hand with memory. When he painted a summer day at the races, he transformed the stereotyped scene in his own way by placing a young family in the foreground, much more interested in their child than in the race going on behind them. In later years, he approached these outdoor subjects with broader strokes, more like an impressionist, in fact, with new emphasis on the massing of colors. Yet every detail contributed to the feeling of action, or waiting for action. Nothing in art must seem to be chance, he said, not even movement. Drawing is not what one sees, but what others have to be made to see. In later years, too, Degas worked especially with sculpture. None of these tiny wax models was cast during his lifetime. He was never quite ready to stop working on them. Here again, he was trying to reveal the simplest outlines of tension, the sharp essence of motion. Throughout his life, Degas was a portrait painter. But he selected his subjects for personal reasons, not for social comment. Outside of family and friends, he was usually attracted to a subject because of a characteristic gesture or an interesting position. If he sketched a cafe singer or nursemaids at the beach, it was not because they were poor or needed a painter's heart to pity them. If he painted 3 women combing their hair, it was not to reveal their personalities, for he used the same model for all 3. When he painted women gossiping, he was interested in the way they turned their heads or wore their hats. Yet, when Madame Dietz Monin could not come for a sitting and offered one day to send him her hat and her furs instead, Degas was deeply wounded and never finished the portrait. Only rarely did Degas approach the dramatic, even in his paintings of dances. He could show, if he wanted to, the long lifetime of heartbreak ahead for the little ones who were not good enough. But he did not like to show his feelings in his work or in his life. One of his most extraordinary works of sculpture, a little dancer of 14 years, caused an uproar in Paris because she was clothed in a real muslin skirt and ballet slippers. She was also the artist's cool vision of superior defiance, of young talent contemptuous of competition, of feeling, perhaps of life itself. The last year he exhibited with the Impressionists, he offered nothing but a series of nudes. They were tired, unflattering poses, but they reveal the harmony of design in the most commonplace of actions. Backstage at the ballet, at the opera, at the studios where beginners were learning to dance, Degas found the models he wanted most of all. He soon grew tired of the formal grace of the finished performance. He liked to sketch dancers waiting in the wings or resting in ungainly positions of utter relaxation. He liked to experiment with unconventional ways of balancing the elements in his paintings. Occasionally, he annoyed contemporary art critics by cutting off his subjects, like a photographer, with the edge of the painting. Degas liked surprises. He often introduced contrasting figures in the ballet classroom or rehearsal. With these humdrum characters, he could show the harsh actuality of life, continually intruding on the backstage world of make-believe. Yet even this was hardly a social comment. It was simply a visual paradox that amused him. Degas gave us the story of ballet in painting as no other artist has. His work was his life, and his work was the art of motion. In a letter to a friend, Degas wrote, "It is the movement of things and of people which distracts and even consoles me. If the leaves of the tree did not move, how sad the trees would be, and we